5, 2, 1. Yo, what's up? This your girl Drea. How you doing?
Hey, and it's your girl Lis. What's goody? What's goody?
And once again, your girl Chloe.
Oh, she did it different today. What?
Gotta keep y'all excited.
I love it. Look, energy is high. Beautiful smile showing. Girl, you must have had a good day. How was your weekend?
It was great. It was actually a lot busier than I expected. I went to Selena on Saturday. I went to a Selena sing-along / improv show.
Oh,
so that was
that's
interesting.
so fun.
Yeah.
Then yesterday I saw Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, did you like
I saw
it?
that. I saw that this
did.
weekend too.
I really
loved
liked it.
Oh, I forgot that crap was coming out in the theaters.
Yeah,
dude.
I'm just gonna warn you. It may tug on your heartstrings because of the animal cruelty.
I saw a little clip with Rocket, and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm about to be balling." I already know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say to me that was the best one.
Really?
Out of the three movies, that's the best one.
Okay.
However,
It was really
I
good.
clearly missed one because when they did the recap before the start of the movie, I was like, they did a Christmas special last year? How
Yes,
the
they
heck did I miss that?
It's
I
on
don't know
Disney
how
Plus.
I missed that.
Mhm.
Okay,
Is that the
that's
one
why.
about Groot? Or is
I
the
don't
Groot
remember.
one
I didn't
about
actually
Groot something
see it,
else?
but I know it's on. I think it's on. It is on Disney Plus. I know that,
Because
but
there is a show on Disney Plus too that's just about Groot.
I don't think it's that one. Although I do think I know what you're talking about. There's.
I need to watch that because I love him.
I Am Groot is my favorite. Him and Rocket together just make my heart sing.
Yes. But it was definitely a really good movie. That's what I did this weekend too. We went to the movies. We kicked it. I have to tell y'all this funny story though.
Lay it on us. What is it?
So we had went to Lowe's. I know I originally said it was Home Depot, but it was not Home Depot. We've been to both Home Depot and Lowe's, but this situation happened at Lowe's.
Okay.
So, just looking for new tools or whatever. It's about to be a bunch of different like renovations and stuff that GC is trying to do at the house. So I'm always, as y'all know, hyping up like random dancing and things of that nature. So like I was like, hey, I've been told y'all this before that my baby got some cakes in the bag. Okay.
Hey.
So y'all know I enjoy it. Now
she love her a good cake.
I do good, on both of them, men and women. You know what I'm saying? I get a little intrigued by both.
Yeah.
So, but we were in Lowe's, and he and I are always just randomly like busting out into doing a song or whatever, where we just get a little jig on in the store.
I love it.
I was like, "Hey, don't stop, get it, and get it, and get it." And then this man. This white man came out of nowhere. And he was like, shake it like a salt shaker, shake it like a salt shaker. Shake it like a salt shaker. He said, you thought nobody was watching.
Damn.
Oh my
And it made it
gosh.
even funnier because his wife was standing there with him. All I was waiting for was for her to be like to start dropping it to him, shaking it like a salt shaker. It was so funny.
Shake it like a salt shaker.
I said, first of all, the fact that you knew that song, sir, I am surprised because there was nothing about this man that said that he would even know any level of hip hop or anything of the sort. He truly just seemed just like your typical dude that might love some good country music.
I love it.
So the fact that he did that was so funny. He said, you thought nobody was watching. He said, now that we should have put on the TikTok.
Oh my gosh. On the TikTok.
I love
was
that he
like,
said the.
I don't know if I should be offended at the fact that you was looking at me shaking my butt, bro. His wife was like, I mean, we both were. I could not stop laughing. It was so funny.
That
Oh
is
my
fucking
gosh.
hilarious.
So funny.
We both were.
We both were.
Mm-mm.
It just truly made my day. I was like, bruh, what is happening in the Lowe's today?
That is amazing.
So yeah, that is how my weekend went.
Shout
so
out
funny.
Lowe's. Love it.
Shout out to
Lowe's. We gonna hype up Lowe's. And I'm sorry, down with the Home Depot because I worked there for 4 years and I left there hating their guts.
I remember you talking about how
Yeah.
bad they were.
Freaking hated it. And let me tell you, a freaking hardware store, I feel like the most interesting things always happen there.
Oh,
So I love that you told that story.
in the hardware store.
Okay, look.
That's amazing.
How was your weekend, Drea? What'd you do?
Girl, it was good. Went down to see some family. A niece of mine graduated from UCCS.
Congratulations.
Love that.
Yeah, so we went to go see her. That was Friday. Then we spent the night over at my sister's place and hung out with family basically all weekend, and then hung out for Mother's Day over at a friend's house. It was good. It was a good time. It was real good.
Nice.
I love that. Good family.
What did y'all get y'all mamas
Huh?
for Mother's Day? What y'all get y'all mothers?
A card in my presence. I'm sorry.
That's
I'm a
all
little
she
broke.
probably wanted anyway.
Mhm. I was like, because there was a lot of mamas at this event, and I felt really bad about like. I was like, there's a lot of mamas. I don't have the funds to be giving everybody something.
Girl.
The main one that matters is your own.
Mhm.
Okay.
But still, I got two mothers. Basically, I got to get something for, and then both of my sisters are moms, so.
Yeah, I did get something
and
for
my
her.
sister-in-law. So I was like, cards it is this year. I hope to give you more next year.
It does add up. I did get something for my mom and both my sisters. But you get the mom the expensive thing, and
yeah,
my sisters, I got them a little something.
Mm-hmm.
So we did these Mother's Day shirts. We like the brand God is Dope.
Mm-hmm.
And so they came out with a Mother's Day line. And so that's what the mothers got for Mother's Day.
So cute.
Yeah.
That's cool.
But look, Drea, I feel you. We had that exact same conversation. I was like, okay, we did that this year. Financially ain't gonna be able to do this every doggone year.
Exactly. I was like,
too many people, too many women, too many mothers, and especially GC having an extended family. That's a lot of money every doggone holiday.
Exactly.
Nah, bruh. Can't do it. We gonna have to figure something out.
Especially because the graduation was right there too. I was like, graduation comes like once whenever you actually do it. So that's more like a once in a lifetime thing. So we tried to make sure she got more,
Yeah.
But we wanted to show love to all the moms, so we got them a card. So
I love that.
That was nice.
Love everybody though, even though my heart wants to give like 50 G's every time, but
Girl, look, if we had it to give
every time.
we would.
Every time.
Okay?
You get 50 G's. Everybody get 50 G's. Shoot.
Or you get a car and you get a car and you get a car.
A car and then some. Go pay off a bill.
Right. Look, and then I don't know why they had to do Mother's Day and then Father's Day back to back. Like months
one
back
month
to back.
apart from
I'm like, come on now.
Can we get half the year apart, please?
Right.
6
but
months,
let's be
please.
honest, Father's Day is not celebrated with as much excitement, yes, as Mother's Day is. We do these fathers wrong. That ain't right.
Well, a lot of them are more easygoing than the women because a lot more women are like, I demand.
Right, because my mom
always
knows. My mom always knows what she wants. My dad, on the other hand, I don't know, or you don't have to give me nothing. I'm like, oh my gosh, can you please just tell me what you want? I'd be tired of guessing, man. Yeah, I'd be like, Mom, what should I get Daddy? Get him some shirts. Okay.
That's all he want. Bless him.
Right. But
Now, look,
anyways,
before we really get up into this episode, I know that y'all, some of y'all out there lingering, okay? We need y'all to go ahead and join and become a CoCo babe, okay? Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. CoCo Convos Pod on all social media. Come on now. You know you want to jump in on these conversations with us.
Coming to the fold. Come on over.
Hit that little notification bell so you get notified every time of these episodes drop. We are only as good as y'all make us. Come on.
Hey.
Join the club.
Hey. Yes.
join
what
us.
Lisa said. Please join us. But okay. Chloe, as you were saying.
Well,
she did not clear her throat. Oh, well.
Back to what I was saying.
So.
Well, today we want to discuss a documentary that we all watched called 1000% Me, Growing Up Mixed. You can view it on HBO Max if you're interested. I think the title is pretty self-explanatory. I thought that it would be interesting because it was directed by Kamau Bell, who's a comedian that I like. He has a show that I like, but I'll tell you more about that later. But he has mixed kids himself, so I'm guessing that's why he decided to make this documentary. But yeah.
Yeah. It was basically
I got
about
stuck. No, but I forgot. I was like, why did I? There was another reason why I thought this would be interesting, but I thought this would be a good topic for all three of us. I thought this would be a good topic for all three of us because, as Dre has mentioned before, she's mixed. Lisa's with GC. We know GC is German chocolate. He's mixed, so if him and Lisa have babies together, they're gonna be mixed.
They could be coming out
dating.
darker or lighter. It could be.
They can come out any kind of. You just not gonna know. I'm in an interracial dating. I could potentially have mixed children, and then my bonus nephews are mixed. Even though most people probably couldn't tell, but it intersects in my life a lot with people I know. So I just thought it would be a really good, interesting topic to discuss.
Yes, thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I guess to start it off, what did you think about it?
I really thought it was interesting how everybody described themselves differently. Like one kid said, they're like, what do you consider yourself? Do you consider yourself black or white? And they're like, I'm both. There's another kid, the two brothers, I don't know if you remember, but they both referred to themselves as I'm black mixed. And they were half black and
half Filipino.
Yeah, and they consider themselves black mixed. And then another kid was like, I'm just me.
I loved that.
So
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
She said, I'm just me, but I love animals. And so
I'm
just me. Half corgi, half llama, and something else that she said. I was like, I love that. It's the innocence for me. I hope that stays. Cute. Yes.
And I loved seeing the different dynamics, like the different mixtures. It's not like it was just black and white. It was like Kamau's family. He's black. His wife is white, but there was black and a type of Asian. There's black and Hispanic. There was white and Asian. Like there was several different mixtures.
Yeah.
And multiracial as well.
Exactly.
But that's what I thought about it, and I found really interesting. Aside from some points I'm going to bring up later, but Lisa, what did you think?
I loved it. I also like the fact that this documentary takes place with him interviewing families specifically in the Bay Area because the Bay Area, being on the West Coast, I found that very interesting, which was enlightening for me, how diverse that area is. And then just being able to kind of tie that into some of the, like, which I'm sure we'll get into it, but like tying that into some of the other experiences or like the traumas that come from whether you were biracial, but being biracial from like living in the South. Like it's a different type of experience.
Mhm.
Similar, but still different type of experience that comes along with that. I also enjoyed the fact that not only did he have the conversation with the children, but also their parents to kind of get their perspective. And it really just boiled down to these parents got together, of course, because they loved each other. They never thought anything deeper. Of course, you're not naive to the fact that you being in love with this person of a different race means that you're going to have biracial children, but they didn't think anything deeper than that. It was strictly just based off of love, and there were just these love children that they brought into this world, and then the reality sunk in after the fact that they had to kind of take a different approach. And I love that each family had a different perspective, but also something different to bring to this type of conversation about race relations and things. So that's what I enjoyed about it.
Word.
And what about you, Dre?
I liked it a lot, because I was definitely intrigued to hear about the other mixed kids, like because my mom is white, my dad was black when he was alive. So in my mind, that's what mixed primarily means. However, like you have this documentary that shows you mixed can be any mix of cultures or ethnicities, races, whatever. So I was like, oh yeah, even though I feel very open-minded in that regard, like I didn't realize that I kind of had this bias, not like a bad bias, but like I already had a point of view that I was coming from. So it was nice to see somebody else's perspective. And then also I just loved how profound the children's responses were to these questions. I was like, yo, they're only like, what were they, 9 to 16? And like some of the really young ones, I was like, yo, that is a deep ass response. I love that. That is amazing. So I'm really encouraged for the future of a lot of these kids, because they're having this conversation at a very young age. Like me, I didn't have this conversation very much growing up. Like my parents, excuse me, for me personally, in my experience, I was raised as both black and white, like I didn't feel like I had to choose, thankfully. I hung out with mostly my mom's side, which is white, because they were local. My dad's side of the family was far away, but we still kept in contact. But I didn't get a chance to hang out with them that much.
Really quickly, where was your dad from?
My dad's he was from Jamaica, Queens. So like his side of the family is all the East Coast, basically.
Okay. Makes sense.
Excuse me. But then my mom's side of the family is from Colorado for like a few generations back, But so I just was really taken aback by how profound the kids' responses were just initially, and I was really excited to know that, like, I don't know, it was very validating, a lot of it, because it just wasn't talked about as much when I was growing up. So to hear, it's unfortunate in a way because it has to be a conversation that's had, but it's good to know that I'm not alone in that way either, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you brought up the whole what's considered mixed thing, because I feel like pretty much all black people, when you say mixed, it means black and something else.
Mm-hmm, right.
And it's funny because whenever I've heard someone being referred to as mixed and they look other, they don't look mixed with black, it always caught me off guard. But yeah, then it was kind of like, oh yeah, they are mixed with like white and Asian, but you never just, as black people, I think our automatic thought is black and something else.
Right. And it's that just also, I feel like that goes back to just America.
America.
Right. America.
Every time
you're black, you're white, you're other. One of the brothers had brought it up. It was the family that was black and Pakistani.
Oh,
And
those were the brothers I was talking about.
Oh, were
okay.
they
That said they were
Pakistani?
black mixed.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I wanted to say they were
'Cause
Middle
they were
Eastern, but I wasn't
older.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
She was the
That's my mistake.
their sister,
She was the youngest.
Anissa was her name. She was the youngest out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, I loved how she was like, I hate being the youngest because I'm not stronger than them, and they always get over on me. Oh,
Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, baby.
I know,
Sorry.
and because I'm the youngest, I felt her when she said that. I felt that in my soul. I was like, girl, that's okay. You're gonna grow up to be tough like the rest of us younger ones.
Mm.
But he said it best, the oldest, he had said it best when he was just like, when looking at himself compared to where Anissa is now at her age, back when he was younger, you literally had, when they were doing like the different, whether it's standardized testing or things that
Yep.
nature where they're making you classify yourself, you were either black, white, or other. They didn't
Mm-hmm.
really have any additional check boxes per se for you to identify who you were.
Mm-hmm.
But then it also just goes to that thing of, it sucks that you even have to, though I understand they try to get statistics to understand where people fall versus different, races or whatever. But it sucks that you even have to identify yourself in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, especially at a really young age. Like, who the hell cares?
Right.
Honestly, you know.
Let me just say though, I'm
Mm.
so glad that they added if you select black or white, and then they ask the question, if you say I'm black, if you are Hispanic after that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I'm glad they added that because, society has been discounting black Latinos
Yeah.
Yeah, the Afro-Latino community for a
like they're
while.
not. Yeah.
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 I mean, even within their own community, they get discredited. So,
Mm-hmm.
but see, that also takes it to one of the things that she said. Oh my God, my mom is gonna kill me for saying this.
Oh yeah.
So this was Kaylin. So her dad was half black, half white, and the mom was half black and Korean. And when it came to signing her up for school, her mom marked her off as Asian and white and did not mark her as black
Mm-hmm.
because she thought that it would give her a disadvantage if people knew that she was mixed with black. That to me, that hurt my heart.
It hit me hard when she said that. I was
It
like,
did.
oh, fuck. Damn.
Because it also just goes to show that even with, you think about what her mix is, especially by the time it makes it to her.
Mm-hmm.
She's not even fully black. And honestly, looking at her, I wouldn't even know that she was mixed with black.
Mm-hmm.
But for that to have even been a thought in her mother's mind that she needed to exclude that part of her daughter's identity, to protect her for the way that the school systems and things of that nature would treat her daughter, just goes to show that where we are as Black people in this country, we are looked at as less than.
Mm-hmm. Well, not even
I
just the
hated that.
Black people, but like also that Hispanic, the male was Hispanic and the wife was white.
Yeah.
And she
Native
was like, yeah,
American.
we put
And
the
Native American.
applications have my last name because his is, Hispanic. I was like, damn, that shit sucks. Like, can't we all just get along?
Yeah,
And
because she was saying, had it been in his name, they always got
discrimination.
some form of backlash, or it seemed as if, like immediately discriminating against them.
Mhm.
So they started putting things in her name to just give themselves a fighting chance as a family.
Mm-hmm. And that's so
And
sad.
the girl, her name is Kanani, the one that had the father from Costa Rica, right?
Yep.
What bothered me too about her situation was when she talked about how the school had like African American Appreciation Day. What was the other one? A Hispanic Appreciation Day, but no Native American appreciate. And I'm like, the irony of us being in a country that was theirs first, but they rarely get recognized. And they don't even have I was so proud of her for actually bringing that up to the school and making it happen. But it just blew my mind to think about, like, wow, I feel like they're discounted a lot.
They're invisible,
but I'm like, this was
in
their
the
country
conversation.
first.
Yeah,
they are. It's crazy.
And the fact that her parents did not teach her English first.
Mm-hmm.
And so she used to get picked on at the playground and things. And the other moms would tell her mother, like, well, the reason that they're doing this is because she doesn't speak English. You really need to teach her how to speak English.
But did you know that's really what happened? Like, I was really upset about that assumption.
Because when you're that young, it's like, first of all, hate is not something that to me, in my opinion, hate is not something that you are born with. It is something that you are taught.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, that's learned behavior. So that must be something that these children are seeing their parents do, or the type of environment that they are in, to where they feel the need to treat someone like that just because they don't speak English.
Mm-hmm.
But what I loved about that was her dad had said it in Spanish, but of course they translated it to English. But what he had told her, he said, they're always going to try to change us. They're always going to try to make us adjust to them. But he was basically just telling her, like, be sure that you stay true to yourself. I kind of saw a little bit of irony in that, because if you think about how a lot of people feel in this country, a lot of people in this country feel like we, as the typical America, feel that we are having to adjust ourselves to immigrants for whatever the case may be, specifically if you're talking about Hispanics. I think that's the stupidity that we as Americans have, because we will go over to other countries, like going to Mexico, hell, even going over to Costa Rica. You expect for them to speak to you in English, as if our language is some type of like superior language. You expect for these people to speak to you in English, but you don't have to learn their native tongue when you go elsewhere.
Right.
So you're expecting for these people to come here to America and forget where they've come from, get rid of their native tongue, and just speak English to appease you. Oh, okay. Because that makes sense.
Right. It's so ridiculous and so egotistical. Like, why am I here specifically pissing you off? Like, I don't know. You could just look
because
away.
They're stealing our jobs, even though that's not true.
It's not.
Y'all ain't even trying to go for the jobs that a lot of them have. So shut up.
Right. Like, shut
it's
up.
So frustrating.
They are willing to do the jobs that we do not want to do, and without them, oh man,
society would be so ridiculously up shit's creek. It would be terrible. I can't use my words today. I'm sorry, but it would be a terrible outlook if we lost our immigrant workers. Honestly.
For sure.
Right. And let me just take it a step back to the girl that was speaking Spanish. It's so sad when, like, people, because I've known so many Hispanic people that don't know how to speak Spanish because their parents didn't want them getting made fun of or something, or bullied at school. And I'm like, I would kill for Black people to be able to have whatever native language that slaves came over here speaking. And we don't even have that opportunity. And it's just crazy to me that people get scared out of teaching their kids their native language, basically. And I'm like, oh, it's like,
I mean, I understand why they get scared, though. They're
your
trying
native
to get
language,
the advantage of assimilation. I understand why they do it.
It's sad that they even have to do it. Like, it's crazy. It's really crazy to me.
Sad. And I mean,
and then, like, you know, I feel like even sometimes they look at each other like, if one doesn't know Spanish and the other does, I feel like they looking at them crazy. I feel like it's different. Because I understand they probably feel like, there ain't no reason for you not to know Spanish. Because it's so much closer to them than like a native language would be for an African American person.
Right.
But I just wonder why maybe some people still carry on the language with their kids, and then some people end up in the situation where they don't want to because they're afraid. I wonder if it has to do with like what the demographic is wherever you live.
And probably
Could
the
be.
amount of discrimination they've already suffered because they
Yeah.
because they might have an accent, the discrimination they suffered as a result of that. Like, you know, they don't want their kids to be put through that situation.
That's
I
so
don't
sad.
know.
Because like I said, I feel like it's really important if you do have a native language. It's nice that you can be able to speak it, but it's sad
Mhm.
when you feel like you can't even do it because you're afraid of getting mistreated.
Mhm.
It's the perception
Mm-hmm.
that might follow you. And so out of fear, the parents have just made a decision to be like, either we're not going to teach you, or it's one of those things where for a lot of them, they can understand it because it was they would speak it in their household, but they
Mhm.
may not be able to actually speak to you in Spanish. So it just depends.
Mhm.
Wouldn't it be nice if you could just make the selection like, I'm gonna teach my kids this language, but I'm gonna make sure they don't have the accent to make it obvious when they all like, but you can't control that.
You can't control that. Yeah.
Right. Most of them, if they're young enough, they won't have the accent, but everybody's different.
Right. I mean, even though you shouldn't even want to have to feel like you don't want to have an accent either. It's just crazy in this country.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like the many videos I've seen of maybe an employee somewhere getting told to go back to your country.
Mhm. That's exactly
Yeah.
why they
And it's like, bitch, I was
don't wanna
born here.
teach
What the
them.
fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Like,
Exactly. Who the fuck are you to tell me to go anywhere anyway? How
there's
far
so
along
many
have your
Hispanic
parents been here?
people. Right. There's so many Hispanic people with an accent that were born and raised in America.
Yep.
Mhm.
And this happens
All the time.
Yeah.
all the time.
But I mean, there's so many other immigrants though. Like for some reason, Hispanics get picked on them. But I'm like, guys, we got people coming from Russia, Ukraine, like all
They
the
don't care about the
Slavic countries.
Europeans.
I know, but like that's the part that really irritates my soul. Is like, okay, so what about the people who also have a thick accent? Like, but y'all ain't talk about them like they're an issue. It's so frustrating,
They look at them completely differently.
Completely
Mhm.
different.
Remember Trump? Remember when Trump named those shithole countries, and none of them were European.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then some of the European countries were like,
What are you
thanks for
talking
welcoming us over there, but we don't like you either. So
about? Yeah.
Thanks, but no thanks.
Mhm. We're gonna have to decline your invitation. Thank you very much.
they're like, yeah, no thanks, but
Yeah, so
So
ridiculous.
along the lines of the language thing, I'm curious how you all felt about the miss. I cannot speak today. Mismatched socks.
Oh my god.
From Mila's parents. So Mila is mixed. Her father is black and her mother is Asian.
Mm-hmm.
And they were having a discussion where her mother was just looking at it from a lens of, I just want her to be a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And so she can go out wearing the mismatched socks. It's
Yeah.
okay. And her dad is like, absolutely not. And he just finally got to the point where he's like, I just screamed at her and said, she's a black girl. And being a black girl, you don't want to give anyone a reason to think that she's not put together.
I felt that in my spirit when they said
I did
that.
too.
I was just like, bruh.
I think that's a very common perception with African American families and with Hispanic families as well.
Mhm.
We try to put on our best because we don't want to be looked at in a certain light. But I mean, I don't know if we care. A lot of us care about that so much now, but it was definitely a big thing in the past.
Mhm.
But I always grew up being told, you ain't going nowhere with me looking like that.
Yes,
Mhm.
growing
Which
up
I
with-
appreciate. I'm glad. Because
Yes.
I don't want to be the person that doesn't care about my appearance when I leave my house.
Yeah, I kind
Right.
of feel for you now because they all talk about these women leaving with their bonnets on and stuff.
Oh,
I'm
girl.
like, guys,
Right.
can we do
Ain't
a
no
little
way.
bit better though? Just a little bit.
Y'all know I cannot stand the bonnet gang. I was 100% on board when Monique gave that speech because I can't. I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't either. It's
What I
embarrassing.
recognize of what her dad said, though, is that he recognized that was a trauma response from his end because he
Yes.
was a black man that was raised in the South. And coming from me being raised from having, of course, two Black parents, but my family is born and raised from the South, from Georgia. And with my parents being older at that too, like growing up during a time where my dad legit still has stories of where he was being told, like still going to the doctor and you're having to come in through the back door and not being able to go to the same type of the schools, the different restaurants, the difference between white and colored, and people being able to address you any kind of way. I remember that as a kid, like being told that, especially with me being dark skinned, like being told that by my parents, like people are going to call you a lot of things, but don't ever let them call you stupid. Which is why they were so hard on us when it came to school. I was a straight A and B student. My parents did not accept anything less than that. And even just like how Chloe said, like for our appearance, like we made sure that, and it wasn't like we were a rich family. We were a middle-class family, but no, you did not leave this house with your hair looking any kind of way. Even as much as I hated it, we would sit in that doggone seat and have our mama hot comb our hair, press it out, braid it, put the beads, whatever it took to make sure that we looked well put together, especially growing up in Colorado. I hate when people try to make it seem as if Colorado is some diverse type of place to live just because it had the different military bases. We grew up in white spaces. I'm grateful for that because it showed me how to interact with how I can thrive in those environments. But I truly do wish that I would have had more of a diverse environment to grow up in. The only diversity that we saw was within our own little group of people.
I will say, though, going to the high school we went to, or the district we went to school in, we got the opportunity to be very used to knowing a lot of mixed kids. Like, there's a lot of schools that don't, like, there was a guy here that I dated briefly or talked to briefly. I won't even say dated, but he wanted to move his kid to he didn't live in Austin either. It was like a smaller town, I guess, closer to here, but he wanted to move her to like Houston or Dallas. And he told his daughter, yeah, like you're going to go to school with a lot more kids that look like you, because she's mixed. Her dad is white and her mother was Black when she was alive. I said, like, does she not have any other Black kids at the school? Me being Black, that was my automatic assumption. He's like, no, what I mean is she's the only mixed kid at her school.
That's so lonely.
So I thought that was interesting. I was like, really? I was like, when I went to school, I had tons of friends that were mixed. There were a lot of mixed kids. Probably, like you said, Lisa, because we lived in the military town. You know, military men bring wives from different places a lot of times.
Yep.
But we were so used to growing up, especially like white and Asian, Black and Asian, Black and white. We were so used to seeing a lot of mixed kids when I went to school. So that really surprised me when he said she was the only mixed kid here at her school in Texas.
That's tough.
And when you think about it, that's probably the only reason that we had the mixed friends. Like when I think about it, when I'm thinking back to my childhood and the kids that I knew that were mixed, it was all military related.
Yeah. A lot of them tended to have moms that weren't born in America.
Right.
Although some did, but a lot of the times that was the case. Their mom was from like another country, Germany or Korea or something like that was really common.
So I'm curious, for the both of you, did your parents have any type of conversations with you when you were younger that kind of stuck with you as it relates to race, just to make sure that you stood out and weren't looked at differently?
I don't think that my parents specifically ever made it about my race. They just had high expectations of me, period. Like I said, I had to be presentable when I left the house. Me and my sisters weren't allowed to go play with our friends and stuff until we did our chores. And I had a best friend at the time. She was always like, "You're always cleaning," because they didn't have that wasn't a requirement of them. Right. That wasn't a requirement of them. But I'm glad that my parents made me a clean person, because now I feel like my standards of cleanliness is more than what I see from a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then they expected me to get good grades, and we all got good grades, me and both my sisters. And again, my friend at the time, her parents, because she didn't do great in school. But she had like a good report card one time that was like A's, B's, mostly C's, but no D's or F's. And her parents gave her money for it. And I asked my parents, "How come I get good grades all the time? How come I never get money for my report card?" Because that's what we expect from you, was their answer.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that was their way of trying to make me stand out, like you said, Lisa. But they didn't say, "Oh, because you're black, blah, blah, blah." But no, they just let us know what their expectations of us were as their kids.
What about you, Drea?
I'm trying to think, like, nothing really comes to mind about being. Feel like there might have been one conversation, like, yes, you do have both races and you should be proud to be mixed, but understand that the world will see you as black at first glance. You know, like, even though I am light skinned and some folks would consider me white, you know, whatever, the rest of the world will consider me black for all intents and purposes. So in that way, my dad was like, just know you can't be. He would also get mad at me. Like, I had moments when I was good in school, but then it dropped off in middle school, and he couldn't tell me to get dressed properly because I didn't give a damn. I was like, whatever, I don't care about you. So I was rebelling in middle school and on. So, like, but when we were younger, for sure, they used to always make sure that we were dressed to the nines and stuff, you know. But at a certain point, I was just like, I'm not feeling that. I'm not doing that. But I don't know. I just feel like he did try to instill a little bit of like, just whenever you're doing something, make sure you do it. You're going to have to do it a little bit harder to be noticed, you know? Like, it wasn't too many conversations like that. He was more worried about me being able to handle myself as a girl in a guy's world, honestly, than race. He was more so about like, you could do anything that these boys can do. And if someone's trying to fight you, don't fucking fight fair. You grab a brick, you grab whatever's around.
Daddy.
And no, for real. He's like, and I won't even be mad at you. If they come for you, they started it, you end it. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like,
I'm so glad you brought up the girl thing, because I kind of feel like that's the perspective my dad really came from a lot too.
Yeah, it was more so about
neither of our dads have sons. So I feel like they were trying to make sure we were good as women growing up in this world.
Yeah. So I think in that way, it was more so about sexism than racism, unfortunately. But Lise, do you remember the conversation?
Well, yeah, that was really it. Like, just especially, I hate to talk bad about my dad's family, but my dad made the decision once he retired for us to stay in Colorado because he didn't want us to be raised in the same type of environment that he was raised in. It was toxic.
Girl, ditto.
Yeah, and that's where a lot, right? Yeah, honestly, because when I look back at it now, it definitely gives me a sense of almost anger towards my dad's family, because now I'm old enough to be able to kind of like digest everything. But even just growing up, like being told like, oh, well, you talk like you're white.
I hate that conversation.
So I talk like I'm white because my parents decided to raise me in an environment where I can get a decent education.
Proper English, you mean?
Right. Okay. Shame on me, because they are holding me and my siblings to a standard. But this is where so exactly how Mila's dad was saying about a trauma response, like that's where that came from for my dad's side, because my mom's side is actually they were educators, and still are to this day.
Really?
Yeah, but it's one of those things where you have the two different sides of the family. We grew up with my mom's side of the family. That's who we're closest with, even now, like my cousins and things. Everyone that I'm close with is from my mother's side of the family. I know them. I could literally walk down the street and could be with someone from my dad's family and not know them from a can of paint. But that's just because my dad wasn't close with them. He wanted no parts of the foolery anymore, which is why he joined the military, to give him something different for not only himself, but he knew he wanted to have a family. He knew this wasn't the story that he wanted to continue to repeat, for what he was seeing within his own family. And even to see them now, like, it's the typical BS that they look at us. And I'm not going to say all of them, but my dad comes from a very large family. He is one of 12.
Jesus. Bless your mother.
Yeah.
Bless your mother, Dad.
But literally, to see them now, it's the stereotypical shit that you see that they associate with Black people being the ignorant shit that you see. And to me, that's where the anger comes from, because it's like, when I was a kid, you guys used to call me white, and you used to say hurtful things to me and my siblings, but then you felt some type of way about my dad, feeling like he was better than everybody because he chose to leave the South. I don't know. When I look at them now and see what they're doing with their lives, and it's the typical shit, the being on the welfare, collecting the checks, thinking that type of stuff is cute. You posting this type of stuff on Facebook for everybody to know that you collecting this type of stuff.
Okay.
Why is that something that's being glorified? So I'm grateful. I always think I have those, like, that internal battle where I think to myself, like, what if my dad would have made a different decision to have raised us? Like, if he would have made the decision once he got out of the military, like, you know what? No, I'm not going to stay here in Colorado. Let's go back. And I think that also comes from being raised in a very small town too. But to be from a very small town in Georgia, they're from Cordell, Georgia. A lot of people don't even know where the hell that is on the map.
For real. I
But yeah, it's that ignorant mindset that a lot of Black people get stuck in. And so I'm grateful that my dad, though he went through that and still kind of experienced that, even kind of current day with his family, that he took a different turn when it came to raising us, because he wanted something different. We are nothing like his family.
Good job.
And I am forever grateful. I may have been mad when I didn't get a chance to do all the things that I wanted to do as a kid, but I am definitely still grateful. But yeah, those conversations were definitely tied to being Black in this country, just because of what my parents had to go through, being raised that way.
I'm like sitting up here listening to your story, and I'm like, dang, Lisa, we got so many similarities.
Yeah.
With our parents both being, I mean, there's a lot of similarities. There was the issue as far as like the family is concerned wasn't so much. And thankfully, I never had to deal with any of them from my mom or dad's side telling me I'm white or your kids sound like, more than anything. Once I went back after my accent changed, oh, you a city girl now. She a city girl now. Like, I would get that, but not, oh, you white, you sound white. But, the similarities I was speaking of was, our Southern parents. My parents are from Louisiana, with huge families, with my dad being the youngest of 11, and my mom's in the middle, 12. So I just thought it was funny while you were telling your story. And my dad basically not wanting to raise me there, not necessarily because of family, but because a lot of just what you see. It's very common for teen pregnancies, people getting pregnant at 13, 14. He didn't want that for his kids.
He wanted to give you a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Damn. It's interesting that you said, though, that you get that you got the, oh, you talk white conversation, because I feel like that's just a universal thing in the Black community, I will say, because I know I got that shit too. Like, oh, well, you don't talk Black. Well, I feel like everybody, because I feel like white people were telling me that too in school. Like, you don't talk like a Black person. I'm like, well, how am I supposed to talk as a Black person? I don't understand what that means. Like, we're all supposed to be just hip hop people, you know? I was a top 40 person. I can't even lie. Like, I didn't know a lot of the hip hop that most folks grew up with. I'm like, I don't know what this song is. I'm so sorry. Because I was listening to Casey Kasem, top 40.
Oh, Casey Kasem.
That was my dude. I was all about that life. So, yeah, no, in that way, like, of course, ours is a little bit different because I grew up with a mixed background. But, like, I definitely still got the, you don't really fit in, you know? But we only had, like, Chloe knows one person I went to high school with that was like my really good friend. She's mixed with Asian and Black. And she was basically, me and her were mixed kids, but everybody else, there was only a few other Black kids in school. I want to say maybe, and like a few Hispanics. There was like a Hispanic chick who was mixed. There was a few of us. There was like maybe 4 or 5 in my graduating class. A little bit more in the school, you know.
Yeah.
But like overall, it was definitely a predominantly white school and stuff, it was Coronado. And
that makes sense.
Does it now? Does it?
Look, I'm just thinking about that part of town. It makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I mean, it's definitely, it did not, especially back in the day, it definitely was not very diverse back then. So,
right. Yep.
And we got shipped there because of our busing system, which was really backwards because we were literally like 45 minutes away from our high school. So, or 30 minutes away, something like that. Past like mad high schools just to get there. So
jeez,
it's really interesting. But
that's
I still
crazy.
loved the fact that we were close to the mountains and all that because we were closer to Manitou. But yeah, it was an interesting upbringing.
Before we move on, I just want to say, people listening, let's stop with the expecting Black people to sound a specific way. Stop telling other Black people, because I've dealt with this with several Black people calling me white girl or you sound like a white girl, blah, blah, blah. And remember, I was confused at one point and I was like, when I heard myself on the podcast, I feel like I have maybe the type of voice that a Black woman would have. So I'm confused why people call me.
Like, but I don't understand.
Because why people call me white girl. I was like, is it because I speak quote unquote proper English? And y'all were like, yeah. I was like, what?
You have a customer service tone.
Look,
right. Like let's stop doing this to each other and just to Black people in general. Stop criticizing the way we speak because you expect us to speak a certain way. I think it's extremely ignorant. And to me, it's like, and when Black people do it, I'm like, so I feel like y'all are slapping the Black community in the face when you say things like that.
Because we can't speak with intelligence or, you know.
Yeah, it's almost like you're saying we can't speak with intelligence. So you're a white girl because you do. So you're trying to say we're all supposed to come off as uneducated?
And sassy.
How does that sound? Yeah.
We all got to be sassy.
Look, now I do have plenty of sass.
I mean, this is facts, but at the same time, just because I might be a little sassy. Yeah.
Right.
My words mean something.
Chloe says that, and then I still giggle. The reason I still giggle is because I can't even lie, and I can't get rid of this. But you know how it is when you call into some place and you don't see the person. You hear them over the phone. And you immediately in your mind, when you're telling it back to somebody, you be like, girl, I called, not talk to this Black woman, or girl, I called and this white lady answered. You define somebody based off of the sound of their voice.
That's
is
true.
Telling you whether this person is white or Black. There is some kind of science out there in regards. And then every now and again, you might get tripped up. Because I lit like some of the radio shows and stuff that I listen to with callers are calling in, and sometimes they'll be like, "Wait a minute, are you black?" And when they said, "No, I'm a white woman," you'd be like, "Wait a minute." But it has nothing to me. It has nothing to do with the words that are coming out of the person's mouth,
Exactly,
or whether she's proper or things of that nature. It's the tone that.
That's the word, Lisa. Thank you.
Yeah,
the tone. I was like, I feel like my tone sounds like I'm black. So I was real lost.
The ignorance of that, though, from like the people that were saying it to you, and then same thing from my family. It was just the simple fact of you having some tact and education in the way that you speak. It makes you a white girl.
We ain't speaking AAVE enough for them.
Girl, I guess not.
Well, it's just a fact, too. They're creating this separateness, that you're the other. You're not a part of this family in the same way we're a part of this family because you speak
but you know
different.
What? I'm perfectly fine with that.
In this instance, that worked out for you just fine. It
worked out just fine. Right. You don't know me and I don't know you.
Yeah.
Right. What I will say, though, that I'm not okay with is, and I was telling somebody this just last week. I don't remember who and why, but growing up, meeting guys, and then these are black men telling me I usually don't date black women, but like you sound like more like a white girl. They preferred me because of the way I spoke.
Because you don't have the
You
sass.
don't sound ghetto, and
even though you have sass, but still
this and this and that. And I'm like, if some man told me that today, that would be instant cutting your ass off.
That's just as bad as you're pretty for a dark-skinned girl.
Yes.
Yeah, I hate all the qualifiers. Why is there a qualifier behind
why is there
anything?
A qualifier?
You're pretty for a blank. Should just be eliminated. Bitch, you pretty.
Right.
You pretty.
Oh my God. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't want to keep going off track, but that too just made me think of a story.
Derailed. We need to digress in this.
We about to get back on, make this short and sweet. But in college, we were in a class watching. Remember, Tyra Banks had her talk show, and this class I think was called Sociology of Poverty. I really wasn't even in that class, but that's another story for another day. But I was in class.
In this class.
Class I wasn't registered for. And it was a video from Tyra Banks' talk show talking about that pretty for a dark-skinned girl. This woman was telling her experience, and then it was a white girl next to me, and she was like, "She is pretty for a dark skin." And she realized what she was saying, and I looked at her, and I was just like, looked at the class, like, I think I'm the only one that heard her getting ready to say this.
Right.
Awkward.
Move your mouth like that.
And you wanted to take the book for the class that you wasn't supposed to be in and smack her with it. I'm so sure.
Right. She literally, for real, just chimed in with that after the girl in the video explained, well, people telling me I'm pretty for a dark skin girl. She is pretty for a dark skin.
Bitch.
Okay, bitch. Thank you for letting me know how your mind frame is. I don't want to be your friend.
Right.
But I don't even think people understand the qualifier statements are an insult in a lot of instances. You know what I mean? They don't understand.
She understood then because she...
Yeah, because she had this class and she's sitting next to you, a dark-skinned girl. She's like, oh, shit, I guess I see. But I just feel like in general, society is pretty... blind to the fact that you put a qualifier with it and it makes it like, oh, you're actually smart. Like, bitch, I didn't expect you to be smart. They don't understand that is what you did with that sentence. You
or somebody anticipated
they were dumb,
Y'all ever have somebody do that? You have a degree? Oh, I didn't know that. Why are you so surprised by that?
Exactly.
Because
I had that at work happen.
As people of color, they look at us as if we're not supposed to.
And they didn't. I said, do you? No. Oh, no, that's why you're surprised, because the black girl got one and you don't.
Right. And y'all better check y'all statistics. Black women are the most educated women in this country. Y'all better cut that out.
I'm gonna get that on that soundboard eventually.
But to take it, so to go back to the documentary, there was one thing, and this was she was the older black and white mix. And I'm sorry, I thought I had her name written down, but I do not. But she made a comment where she said there's a lot of danger in not talking about racism and race with your children. Do you guys agree with that?
Absolutely.
What is your thought with that?
Well, I definitely feel like it helped that, like when I said my parents didn't really have like the conversations with me about my race specifically, they definitely told me some of their experiences growing up. And I feel like it made me, I hate to see when people are very oblivious about things that happen as far as racism. Thank God I'm not one of those people, because my parents did share with me the real on certain things in life and some of their experiences. But it's really important, because when you're not educated on race and racism and all that stuff, you tend to invalidate other people's experiences. And to me, that's like the worst thing. You're invalidating their experiences, and then you're also kind of telling me you're not willing to learn what other people go through because you haven't gone through it. Or you think that, yeah, right, this person didn't say that to you, or this person didn't do that to you because they've never experienced it. Not everything should require personal experience. Some of it's just common sense. So if you're not even taught about race and racism, you probably aren't going to have the common sense to be able to understand some of these incidences.
Yeah.
What about you, Drea?
Thing about like ignorance breeds more ignorance, right? Like you can't make any difference if you have no idea about what's been done before. Like, I don't know. There's a saying, something about like, in order to learn you have to learn your history, otherwise you're doomed to make the same mistakes, and it's really about that, because it's a sensitive subject and it's exhausting. I mean, I went to school for Black Studies. Basically, Africana Studies is the degree that I have my bachelor's in. Then I ended up in finance. Anyway, that's a whole different thing. But, like I did end up learning about my history because I felt like everything that I learned in school, in general public school, negated my experience as a brown person. Nobody was we were learning about the Holocaust and stuff, and it is important to learn about that, but there's also so many things that happened on American soil that are not highlighted for, Asian, Black, Native, you name it. There's something that has happened on American soil that you don't know about. I guarantee it.
And it's getting worse.
And it's getting worse. Like Asian concentration camps. Didn't know that was a thing till after college, like what the fuck? And we over here blaming German folks. Like they're the only ones who've done it, and I don't know. I just feel like I've learned a lot about our history. I've learned a lot about the reasoning behind why America took the path that it did with race relations and slavery and all that. But it's just, I don't think it's highlighted in the way that it needs to be, because I feel like there's so many people who are sensitive, like, oh, race relation discussions are about blaming white people. And a lot of Black people do blame white people, but that's not the stance that you can take in order to make a change, unfortunately. I don't know if reparations should ever happen, because a lot of Black people wouldn't know what to do with 40 acres and a mule or the equivalent of that today, because there's a lot of people who would just go blow that money like a lotto and they'd be poor the next year or two. I feel like there's a lot of education that would need to come with reparations before Black people are, as a population, are ready for that, But, and I'm not trying to be controversial, I just feel like there's a lot of education in general, especially in our own community, regarding race relations that needs to happen. But I digress. Going back, what was the original question? Is it important and dangerous? Yes. I went on a whole rail. My bad. Whole new rail.
I was like, wait a minute now. I'm going to need my 40 acres and a mule. Okay?
No, I'm saying, but here's the thing though. Like, we are college educated. I'm not saying that it's better that we're college educated or not. Strike that from the record. That's stupid. It's just a matter of fact, like, some folks don't know how to deal with money. People want to spend money on Jordans. They don't want to spend money on rent. So until we can get that taken care of, I don't feel like reparations is going to solve anything for anybody. You know?
I think, to me, I feel like that comes along with the reparation, because that's a part of the oppression, is continuing to, the financial aspect for us as Black people. We haven't been given the same opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Things have always been made harder for us when it comes to that. And anytime that they can take advantage of our people, it's happened.
Mm-hmm.
Like that exact example where advertising, it's more important for us as a people to have brand names and support the big name than to support our own people.
Yeah.
You think about the Asian community, Asians will buy from each other. Same thing for Hispanics too. So the support that happens within other minority groups is not necessarily there within the Black community. And why is that? Because that's a part of that systematic, the systematic oppression that has been placed on us.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, that education just comes along with it as a part of the reparation. That's my thought when I think about, when I envision what that would look like, that it's not just a financial aspect, it's an education aspect that would need to come along with it too. Because for so long that's been taken from us. But I agree, even with this, the topic, that it's dangerous to not have those conversations, only because I feel like who better than to show and tell your children who they are as a person, as a people, than their parents. It should start in the household. You shouldn't, that way, when, like exactly how Chloe said, when you step out into this world, you can't be so naive to the things that people are trying to say to you or tell you, because never allow somebody else to dictate who you are. It's so easy as a child for somebody to be able to manipulate you.
Yeah.
But if you're receiving that education at home, and I mean, we can even take it a step further, where we're now living in a country where you've got people like Ron DeSantis in Florida, who is literally trying to erase any and everything related to Black people, diversity and inclusion, anything related to teaching in schools.
Oh yeah, that's
is being taken out. And there are plenty of people who support this rhetoric. So it's dangerous from that aspect, where if you just leave it up to letting the world teach your children about racism and race, then for it to come from the parents.
They would not know the truth.
Yeah, they wouldn't know the truth.
That's very concerning.
To me, that's like denying a particular side of the conversation is the equivalent to book burning in my eyes. Like, you are trying to deny an entire side of history without any chance for discussion or debate. That's dangerous. And that's honestly un-American. Let's be honest. You know, like America, the wonderful thing about it is you get to challenge someone's point of view as long as they're not hurting people, right? Like, as long as you're not hurting or oppressing folks, you have a right to an opinion.
Right.
That's the whole point of America. And you just saying, oh, this is all bad, I have a real issue with that.
And to me, it also is about you just don't want to discuss the bad things that have happened to whichever minority race. I want to be able to highlight the good.
Facts.
Because if I know all the good, then when someone is trying to speak to me or my baby about the bad, well, you know who you are. You know who your people are. What they're trying to say to you doesn't matter.
Look, it's bad. You know what's bad? Things are getting bad with the lack of education as far as race relations. When you see a woman on Facebook, they're talking about the Holocaust and or slavery or something, and she comments basically taken away from slavery, saying the Holocaust was way worse, and that there were some slaves had slave owners that were good to them. And whatever her explanation was, it wasn't all bad and blah, blah, blah. First of all, there can be nothing good coming from people owning other human beings. Let's start there.
Right.
Second of all, you must not know about all the terrible things that happened to some of these slaves.
No, that she understands and
She
doesn't want to
understands, but
admit that.
her point, Chloe, is that it didn't happen to every single one of them.
And it's not
Therefore,
that bad.
Therefore,
The
slavery
Holocaust
wasn't
was
that
worse.
bad. Yeah.
I said, don't
And why are we comparing each other's
comparing
trauma?
tragedies.
That's fucking
Yeah.
terrible. It's all
I said,
awful.
don't you ever
It is
compare
all
tragedy.
awful.
Yeah, don't you ever compare one tragedy to another. That's what I told her.
Facts. And I hate when people do, well, only 5 people got shot in this school shooting. Like, bitch, it shouldn't happen, period.
It shouldn't have been one.
It should have never happened. Yeah.
It
never.
doesn't matter.
People are so dense.
Mm.
But again, Lisa, to your point, this is why it is important to have those conversations about race. And I hate what's going on in these schools right now because these kids lack awareness of so many things that happened in our history, like blackface, or when they say with the Little Mermaid, well, what if they took this movie or a Martin Luther King movie and made them white? If this was the other way around, it would be a problem. It was the other way around for a very long time. Black people couldn't even play black people in a movie. And we were depicted in such a negative light, the way that they would paint themselves to look like a black person. I'm like, these kids are completely unaware. Yeah. Some of these adults completely unaware of that part of our history, that they make stupid ass statements like that. If this happened in reverse, excuse me, it has for decades. What are you talking about?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's even like, so when they were having the conversation with the grandmas in the documentary.
Yeah.
Sammy's grandma so of course one is black and one is white.
Mm-hmm.
But exactly how the black grandma said, I wonder how many children do not know what their actual race is until they're told that they are this. Because even with her, so the black grandmother, even with her being older, she was even saying, she said she didn't recognize that she was black. She used to play with some of the white kids. And when it finally got to the point where they were old enough to go and be in school, she thought she was going to be able to go to school with the white kids. And her mom had to sit her down and have the conversation with her. And she was so upset about it. Mm-hmm. What do you mean we can't go to the same school? These are my friends.
That's really devastating.
But even from the white grandma's standpoint, for her, from how she was saying, she didn't meet her first black person until she was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
That's so crazy.
How is that your first interaction? You think about it, you're a teenager at that point. So you've gone like 13, 14 years of your life without having to be around black people. Mm-hmm. But from her standpoint, she was saying it was more of a religion aspect.
I was going to say, girl, did you grow up like a Mennonite or Amish or something?
It was the Catholic situation, because she was saying when one of her sisters or something like that married, what was the guy? I think she said he ended up being Jewish or something
not
else
Catholic.
That was not Catholic. And that is what caused their grandmother to be so upset and mistreat her and the family, because they didn't align from a religious aspect. And the black grandmother said, can you imagine if he was black? How that would have changed the mind if he was a black Catholic?
Oh, well,
because you care about them being Catholic. So what if he was a black Catholic? Do you think that they would have given you the same treatment? Welcomed you with open arms? And she didn't have anything to say because she didn't know.
Yep.
I don't know. I think it's sad.
Yeah.
It is.
So since none of us have children, but we want children,
Mm-hmm.
I guess what would be something that you think about having biracial children?
I feel like I would definitely have those important conversations that you brought up. Because I do feel like a common issue with a lot of mixed children is parents kind of teaching them, we're all humans. Like I've met mixed kids where it's like, well, we're all humans, like our race doesn't matter, blah blah blah. And I get what their parents are trying to do, but it's not how the world works. You need to teach your child how the world works. So I would prefer to
Mm-hmm.
come from that stance with raising my child if they were mixed, mixed or not. The reality of being any portion of being black is what it is. Um, but I don't care like what my kid is. I don't care if they're just black or if they're mixed with something else. I guess that's really all I have to say about that.
That's all I gotta say about that. What about you, Lisa?
Yeah. I mean, especially if me and GC get to that point, because he's German and black. The reality is that he was raised with his black family. He doesn't know like his biological mother is German. However, that's not a relationship that he has ties to. And so to me, it would be one of those things where I would feel that it's important, one, to not only know that you're black, but that you are also German. And so if that means that we would have to figure out a way to make sure that that piece is known for them, that's very important to me. I don't just want my child to grow up in this world being naive
Hmm.
that you're black. You're black and you're German, and you're going to own both parts.
Mm-hmm.
That's important to me because I don't want to be that parent that just speaks to one side of things. Um, I feel like he would have a different perspective on that, but
We would love to hear that.
Right.
but for me, I'm like, no, I want my baby to be well rounded and to know all sides.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. I think it's important to acknowledge everything that you are.
Hmm.
It's just almost like denying a whole part of your family when you're like,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm black. Well, you're mixed. No, I'm black. Because there are mixed people that feel, no, I'm black.
And there are
Hmm.
mixed
Well, what
people that
about
say,
the.
"No, I'm white." Period. Even if you
Yep.
could see that they're mixed
Right.
with black.
Like, it's just like, well, don't you think that's offensive to one of your parents, whichever one?
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I feel like it may my experience with mixed children who feel that way, they probably grew up with one side versus the other. And so that's where that has come from.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Or one side completely denied their existence
Yes.
altogether.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And sometimes you got to hype up the black side too, because I've met too many mixed kids that, and I don't know if it's because you can obviously tell they're mixed with black, but they talk about being Asian or being white or being whatever else they are so much. And it's like, what about the black part of you? I never ever hear you talk about that. But you're so proud of this other side.
You know what's
It just goes back to how that mom was saying that the reason that she
Mm-hmm.
negated the black on her daughter's application because she didn't want her to have people view her in a way that would give her disadvantages.
mm-hmm.
See, and that's the
There are some
thing.
people that view black people that way,
I feel like
unfortunately.
when I be meeting people like that, I be kind of offended. Like, it kind of bothers me actually. I'm like, are you ashamed of your black side? Because you are always having to bring up that you're half Korean all the time or that you're half white all the time. But you never, some of it is like psychologically maybe mess them up a little bit being mixed.
Yeah, depending on what their experiences have been.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I would say also society in general, like, I think a lot of people discount like the Asian experience, but like they also have like a sense of otherness, you know? Like it's not the same Black experience, but they also get seen with so many different stereotypes from like African American stereotype Asians, you know, like with COVID-19. There was a lot of Asian hate going out, and a lot of it was coming from Black people, unfortunately. And I just feel like maybe they just want to highlight, like maybe somewhere they're getting some societal pressure to deny that side of them, and so they want to highlight it as a coping mechanism, you know? So maybe that's just part of why they highlight one over the other, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But for me, I feel like I would definitely want to, I don't know, to me, I feel like there's a lot of assimilation that goes on in America. You know, like I think it's funny, Lisa, that you said like German, he's mixed with German and Black, not white and Black. Like there's a culture difference there, you know, because like white we automatically assume is just an American white. Could be Irish, could be German, could be anything, Italian. So it's a little bit of a mosh posh when you say white, you know? But like you say specifically, he's German, and there's a lot of culture in that. I feel like for me, I would try to find, maybe not, I don't have a tie to like traditions in either culture for myself. Like my mom is white, my dad is Black. My mom is like a big mix of European cultures, but we don't have traditions in any of them that I can remember in our household, you know? And then like same thing with my dad. I just feel like it was just a bunch of Americanness, you know? So I feel like for me, kind of what somebody, I don't remember who said it earlier, but like I would highlight things on both sides that are great and also some of the bad stuff. I feel like I just wouldn't hide that each side has something bad. Like there's stereotypes about Black people. Unfortunately, some of them are true. Can't deny it. But that's not necessarily all their fault. You know, it comes with oppression. A lot of societal pressure has put us there. So I feel like understanding a little bit of race theory at home would definitely be my thing. And I would not want, I feel like one thing is I didn't know the word nigger until it was a bad situation. I don't ever want to have my kid hear that word directed at them, but I feel like I would need to tell them there may be a word that you hear that's not a nice word. You know, I feel like I would definitely want them to understand what that word meant and let them know that's not who they are.
I'm
So,
glad you added that one.
thanks.
It is important to teach your kids about that word. I was called that
Mm-hmm.
word once in elementary school. Thankfully, I knew what it meant.
Yeah.
But
And it's unfortunate
to
you have
hear
to
that
have
and
that.
not know what it means, I couldn't imagine.
Right? Like,
Right.
it's so bad. And like, for me, it wasn't directed at me. It was directed at my father in a neighborhood, like in the neighbors' argument. So it wasn't a good thing. But like, I don't remember even having the discussion about what that word meant. I just knew it was bad, you know?
Yeah.
So I just feel like things like that I would highlight and just have an open conversation, because I feel like kids are far more mature than we give them credit for.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
it.
Big
You know?
time.
Just don't hide anything. I feel like hiding is stupid because they'll find out somehow, and you want to just at least make sure that they know the truth and not some random thing that their friend told them or advertising told them about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how I would address raising kids. I feel like just being honest with them is the most important thing.
I agree. Totally agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies, this has been a really great discussion.
All right, super deep.
I kind of want to end our discussion in the way that he did in the documentary. And he asked each one of the kids, what do we as non mixed race people need to know about mixed race people?
I feel like I was going to answer it one way, but now I'm thinking about how someone in college told me, or it said something, not realizing I was a mixed kid. He's like, oh yeah, mixed kids are mixed up. They don't understand who they are. But I think that's not true. I feel like a lot of us understand who we are. We're just told we're wrong. And I feel like if you actually listen to us describe more about ourselves, you'll have a better understanding about who mixed kids are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, don't let anyone else tell you who you are.
Facts. And don't let them make you feel like I thought I knew, but maybe I don't. I don't know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
Or that you have
non-mixed
to
people
choose one over the other.
Yeah, you
Right.
don't have to choose. And
non-mixed people don't go around telling mixed people what they mix with or not just because you don't feel like they look that way. They know what they are. Like, that's
Yeah.
the craziest thing to me.
facts.
And I'm kind of worried about that for my bonus nephews because they're mixed, but they look white. Like, because their
Mhm.
mom is very light-skinned and their dad is white.
Mhm.
And you can't really tell that they're mixed until maybe summertime when you may notice, like, oh, that kid is like
They
pretty
got a little,
tan.
they got a little
He's-
brown.
Yeah, but still they look white with a nice tan, or maybe like they could be something else with tan skin.
Mhm.
And I just imagine later in life someone treating them like that. Like, you're not black. Like, and the funny thing is that my sister shared with me one day was the younger child who he's 7 now, but he was 6 at the time when he said one day, "I'm a strong black man."
Oh, I love it.
That is amazing. Oh, baby.
I'm like, imagine him being I'm a strong black man. You black? You're not
Mhm.
black.
Look, he better tell him I'm just as black as Jesse Williams. Y'all better leave me alone.
Mm.
Before I get up here on the BET stage and
Oh, God.
tell black women how beautiful they are and make white people feel this small.
Mm. So ridiculous.
Oh, man.
Oh, y'all know I don't have no good sense.
But yes, non-mixed people, stop trying to tell mixed people what they are. It just drives me crazy for anyone to tell any person what they are.
Mm-hmm. It's like, you haven't lived my life. Shut up. Thank you.
Right.
Yeah. So that's, I think, what I would say is just actually listen, maybe empathize. That's all. And life would be a lot better place. Because us mixed people, we got, we fucking beautiful.
Hey.
You know what I mean? Everybody got their beauty, but like there's a mixed kid specific beauty, I don't know. I just love mixed kids. I always feel so connected to it.
Like,
Well, I would hope so.
Right. I mean, that's no different than black people seeing other black. Oh, there's a black girl.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
When
I
you
feel
get
that either
excited.
way, though. I also, like, as much as I feel a connection to mixed kids, I feel it when I see black people do good. I feel it when I see white people do good. Like, I just want everybody to win. That's just it.
That's because you're a genuine person.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not a hater in this world.
Yeah,
You
no,
just-
I don't
You
drink that
just want
haterade,
people to
bruh.
do good. You just want people to do good. That's all.
Yes, I do. It's
All the goodness in the
annoyingly
land.
so. I know. I'm sorry.
Now, Chloe, you had a shout out for us this
Yes.
week.
I do. So I mentioned at the beginning that this documentary was directed by comedian Kamau Bell. I got to know his work through a show he has on CNN called The United Shades of America. I love that show. Even though I fell off for a few seasons, but I didn't realize it was still on because I lost access to that channel. But now I know it's on Discovery Plus. So I'm about to start watching it again. But basically he goes around the country and talks about like different topics. So the very first episode he did that I will never forget in season 1 was called The New KKK, when he went and interviewed a bunch of white supremacists. And he
Ballsy.
met the
Go ahead.
KKK in the woods at night for a cross burning.
Oh, no, bro.
Yo, he is okay. Bravery.
Bold, right? Like, I feel like it was a scary thing for him and his cameraman, even though they had the nerve to have manners. Like, oh, nice to meet you, sir. Come on back. And I think probably because he was giving them the platform, you know, so they were being like super nice. But it was just a weird, interesting experience. My other two favorite episodes was the one on Chicago gangs, which was very sad. And the episode about Native Americans, basically how they live or what it's really like for them on the reservations and all the issues that they experience. I'm bringing up the few episodes that I want to check out is HBCUs. And this one, this is from last season, Trans in Texas. I really want to see, and he does discuss a lot of the hate crimes apparently that have happened in Dallas against trans people.
Oh Lord.
Man.
So I'll be watching the episode. I wanted to watch Hawaii for Hawaiians, but I actually ended up watching that today while I was working. So that was really interesting. Hawaii for Hawaiians is becoming a problem.
Damn.
But you should check it out. I love that these issues that he discusses, they're all like, most of them are serious issues, but he kind of adds a comedic flair to everything. So check out his show. I love his show, United Shades of America. You can see it on CNN or Discovery Plus.
Word. I might check that out. All right.
Well, we thank y'all for joining us tonight.
Yes, thank you. For the long haul.
Okay, y'all hung in there with us. Like I said before, stop being a creeper. Okay. If you hung in here for an hour and 30 minutes, you might as well go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes.
Hit that notification bell so you can be updated each time that we drop a new episode. Follow us, CoCo Combos Pod, on all social media. Until next time, folks.
Bye.
Eh.
See ya.